The 10th round of the 2022 Area Truck Series makes only 3 races until the playoffs begin for the 30-plus drivers in the Truck Series. Tonight we head to round number 10 here at the Magic Mile up in Loudon, New Hampshire at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Welcome aboard to the HelloFresh 125 from New Hampshire. Tonight, if you're in the chat, use code or command exclamation point HelloFresh in the Twitch chat for 21 free meals plus free shipping. HelloFresh 125 from New Hampshire. Kyle Heyer joining you alongside Finney and DeCuna. Finney, welcome aboard tonight. 125 laps from the Magic Mile. Last night we had a very interesting cup race. Lots of yellows, but lots of action. Tonight, I think we'll see more of the same.
Yeah, last night was extremely aggressive. These guys were going absolutely ballistic last night. They were dooring each other in the turns, even on the straightaways. They were going 4 wide at some point. I'm going to see how the truck's going to be. I want to say it's going to be a little bit more tame, but I'll have to say I think a lot of it's going to depend on how the setup is, how the driving conditions are out there on the track.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting night to say the least. We head down to the racetrack. Practice is already underway, but let's get into the playoff picture. We have a couple races left until we get to our playoffs. At the top of the board, it's David Weishart, got that 3rd victory on the season just a couple of weeks ago. Travis Beckner, Ryan Hartz, Jordan Hurley, Scioli, and Matthew Bell all have victories to their name, but Brad Slaughter on back to Cameron Hearn inside the playoff cutoff without victories, not locked in yet. Justin Anisogak, Eric Wineland, Danny Ware, and more on the outside looking in.
Yeah, for a lot of these guys, I'm curious to see if they can, again, who's going to be the one that gets the next win. Brad Slaughter, he's been arguably due for a win for a while. I keep mentioning every single time we come here, come to the Truck Series broadcast, because it's generally surprising he hasn't gotten that W in just yet. Colin Farmer, another quick driver, again on the outside looking in, but also a lot of guys hovering around that cutoff area. Looking at Colin Farmer on back, everyone's very close, and that picture is narrowing down as the playoffs emerge closer and closer.
Yeah, we're almost there. Just a couple of rounds remaining. Track temperature right now, 102 degrees Fahrenheit. The air temp just shy of 80. So it is a toasty afternoon here in Loudon, New Hampshire, up here in the Northeast. I'm sure in the real world it's a little bit drearier at the moment than it is here in the simulator. But at the top of the board, it's hometown boy Ryan Hartz. Came up 1 spot short in the Cup race last night. We'll see if he can do 1 spot better tonight. Already looking pretty solid.
Yeah, no, one of the stronger cars out on track last night just couldn't quite seal the deal. See if he can do that tonight. Also looking quick, exactly what he was doing last night. Top in practice, starting near the top in qualifying. We'll see how this number 3 truck can perform as the night goes on. He's also got the number 7 James Scioli breathing out his neck in the practice timesheets.
Pretty racy already out there. Last night we saw a lot of incidents and contacts and things of the sort, Finney, and a lot of it was after restarts. We did get 1 long green flag run. Tonight, though, everyone will be fighting for the same line that they were in the Cup race, that middle groove in both 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And as you can see, drivers sliding up, crossing over. It gets pretty wild, especially on restarts.
Yeah, you can see some wreck trucks there on exit 2. Exits being pretty much the calamity corners. Typically, turn 2 is a little slightly more calamitous, but even turn 4 played a big part in a lot of the wrecks last night. Just look at the 18 of Fambro.
Running 8th right now here, David Weishart. 3 wins on the season right now in practice. He's run 49 laps. That's the most of anybody here, but is only 12th quick, so maybe fighting a little bit of speed issues in that 33 truck. Last night was the winner of the Cup race, so got that monkey off his back, but now has some more to focus on this evening. Brad Slaughter Jr. right behind him. Jordan Hurley has also won a race this season there. He is down in 16th at the moment on the left-hand side of the screen. Up towards the top. The drivers you mentioned, Hart, Scioli, Matthew Bell, Cameron Hearn, Travis Beckner, Danny Ware, one of those drivers on the outside looking in. He could really have a good night tonight if he could just finish really where he's practicing, but I'm sure he'd like to get a win and put himself in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was really loose in turn 2 right there. And again, I'm not too surprised that the guys are fighting these conditions with it. Again, the track being 100 degrees. It actually dropped down to just about 100 degrees. So we'll see if it continues to drop there with the cloud coverage. I'm sure these guys will love the track to get the temperature to drop to get more grip for them to work with during the race.
Yeah, grip levels will change quite a bit. You can see the track rubbers in really in that middle groove, but as soon as you get up high, you get up into the marbles, and it can get pretty slick pretty quickly. We saw a lot of drivers fighting grip in the longer runs, and tires especially, burning off the right front and right rear tires. The cars got, the word I would use is dynamic after about 20, 30 laps of racing last night.
Yeah, and honestly, it was kind of nice for at least everyone watching at home. It was very nice. The drivers, I'm sure they're absolutely miserable, constantly dealing with the back end of the car kicking out, sliding all over the place. Hard to get back on the power, not enough traction out of the corner, but it made for some really great side-by-side action.
You're watching the HelloFresh 125 from New Hampshire. It's going to kick off here in just a couple of minutes tonight. This race is brought to you by HelloFresh. If you've got New Year's goals, HelloFresh is here to help you achieve them. Skip the grocery store and take control of your time and budget with delicious recipes delivered right to your door. That code that is on the bottom right of your screen, go to HelloFresh. Put in that code, get yourself that deal as we head back down to the racetrack here for qualifying in just a couple of minutes. Practice still underway for the time being here, Finian. And it can tell us a lot week to week, but 37 drivers, and the spread from first to last is only 0.8 of a second, which is pretty tight and tidy. That means I think we're in for a really solid race. I also think we're going to have a lot fewer yellows tonight because these trucks are significantly easier to handle here than the very stiff, bouncy, and bumpy next-gen Cup car.
Yeah, so that's why I expect these guys to be, not as, it's not going to be as chaotic with them going into and coming out of the corner. It should be a little bit more stable, a little bit more predictable for these guys to work with. But that could also work against them. They could be trying to force it the envelope a little bit more. See these guys push each other a little bit more because they can feel more confidence with the car, or in this case, the truck. So look at Brad Slaughter all the way down 13th.
Brad Slaughter mentioned right behind David Weishart in the running order right now. Best time of a 30.30, which he shares with Holmes and Weishart ahead of him. That's how close things are at the pointy bit. But Reinhardt's basically a 10th clear of the next fastest guy, and that's a pretty big gap. Remember, from 1st to 37th was only 8 tenths, and one of those tenths is accounted for between 1st and 2nd. One car turned around at the exit of pit lane.
Yeah, that was Travis Beckner trying to do a burnout.
Oh, well.
That wasn't
He did it. A couple more trucks rolling out on the racetrack right now, getting some last-minute practice in. And I'm always surprised that tracks like this that are so line-sensitive and take a long time to master, how many laps people will put in practice. Let me just run down a couple of drivers here. Reinhardt's 47 laps in practice. James Scioli, 38. Matthew Bell, 41. How about David Weishart, 49. Justin Anasogak, 57 practice laps.
Yeah, that's all, again, just a reminder, too, these guys only have 40 minutes of practice beforehand in the server. So they all just pretty much game in here, and we're just out there just making laps, seeing what they can need to do in both the racing and qualifying. As Anasogak goes hard into the wall, straight on
his 58th lap. Tom Bourne
Ooh.
just squeezing by there. Ryan Swan, Garrett Grant not really showing a lot of speed here in practice and some struggles already. So 30 seconds left here in practice before we get into qualifying. Last night, Finian, qualifying, well, we thought it would matter at least a little bit, but it really didn't. At the end of the day, David Weishart came from 35th up to 1st, and we didn't even have a lot of green flag running. A lot of that was strategy calls. But, we did see some passing. It wasn't like people were stuck in line, so maybe tonight it isn't critical. It's just about, if you have speed and don't get a clean lap, I think that's not a big deal. If you don't have speed, though, you just don't have speed.
Yeah, and we saw guys, I remember Mitchell in particular just dropped down the order, started in the top 5 and ended up finishing 17th. So you definitely do need to have some pace. I think qualifying will obviously set the general gist of the grid, but again, we'll have to see what the story is going to be. But with the next gen cars, the way they were racing, it was pretty easy actually to make passes, which I never thought I would ever say with those particular cars, that it was easy to pass. But guys were able to make it work, especially if they had the speed. We saw obviously our race winner David Weishart came all the way back from I think 35th up to win that race. So it's hard to argue that it was impossible to pass because he passed 34 guys on the way to that victory. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he ran really well in speed weeks at Daytona, but Yeah, he definitely probably could use another win. I mean, looked really strong last night, and then obviously, as Hunter mentioned last night too, this is his favorite track, being his hometown track. So we'll see if he can perform. Cross the line for him, 3.1, one of the first guys to get out there and put a time down. And as he comes across the line second time, it'll not be faster. So first time looking to be more of the money lap. Brad Slaughter just comes flying across the line. We're looking at him on screen. Cameron Hearn just jumping to second place in the 67 machine, only a couple tenths, actually a couple hundredths off of the number 3. Yeah, it seems a lot of guys are just dropping off a couple hundredths of a second on their second lap, so we'll see if this number 39 is hiding anything. Apparently, Kyle is having some mic difficulties. And taking a look at him, is heading into turn 1, see if he can improve on his second going.
Oh, I just realized that my microphone for a while. So,
Oh, nice.
So
nice
thanks.
job, Kyle.
I think I had a cough and I muted myself. So we're back. Carter Coop up to 10th place. So we haven't really seen that strategy work, but it did for Carter. It just didn't launch him very far forward. I still think at this track you have to go hard on your first lap. But Scioli's doing the same thing. He's using lap 1 here to set up for lap 2, unless he kind of ran middle high there on purpose. Now across the line for Scioli, 30.740.
I think that was definitely intentional. He's obviously near the bottom of the chart, 16th fastest he comes across, so this is going to be the money lap now. So we'll see now if using lap 1 was is going to help him out. Build up some speed, a little bit of heating tires. He did get close to hitting the wall off of turn 2, so if he makes a mistake here, he's going to die for the apron. That's a very unorthodox line.
Well, we see that in race pace, but we haven't really seen that work out in qualifying. Chasing the green here out of turn 4. Is it going to be quicker? It is a 31.53, good enough for second place. Interesting.
Wow. I'll be. All right, that was something.
It was something. See if Logan Hartman tries the same strategy. Nope, he's going to go high and I think do the same. Ooh, too high.
I was going to say he was charging in there way too hot to go high.
Have a look on the Simrat Market replay here. Just charges in and it immediately steps out on him here. There's just no way you're going to carry that much speed into the corner. Drags the quarter panel against the wall, and it's he'll get a shot to go again and at least get one more attempt at it. Jeff Ryan has thrown away all of his attempts, so has Tommy Ryan. The Ryan brothers are going to have to start at the tail of the field today. Eric Wineland and Matthew Bell beginning their qualifying effort.
We'll see if Matthew Bell can do anything. He's running pretty good in the truck series. 1 win to his name. He's locked in. We'll see if he's got any pace here to show for qualifying. Was 3rd fastest in practice.
Yeah, again, he's taking it easy here on this first lap. Kind of half-pedaling it through 1 and 2. And running really high again. I think he's going to try to set this up. Downshifting which is something we saw lots last night with the transaxle 5-speed next-gen car. Not something I would have expected to see in this 4-speed H-pattern gearbox, but just trying to get the best run. 31.476 on the first lap. This is an obvious throwaway to benefit this lap too. So he's banking on a little bit higher tire temperatures being the way to go here.
Yeah, gotta just be careful of the second lap. If he doesn't get a good lap time in, it's gonna be a long night ahead for the 9. He goes into turn 3 now.
Not as big of a commitment as we saw Scioli.
I was gonna say he didn't completely send it to the apron like Scioli. More conventional line for the 9. We'll see what it's gonna do for him on the timesheet. Wow. As he comes across 4th fastest.
Yeah, 32.38, 4th quick. So that has worked for the drivers that have tried it. Justin Munsell starting his first lap. It looks like Travis Beckner is also on the road. Lath Hicks in the 53 is also on track.
Munsell working his way on, about to complete his first time lap. Looks like he was running solid on this first lap, didn't throw it away, so this will probably be his fastest time. A little bit loose off of turn 4.
Was in 3rd gear in turn 4, that's why. Another downshift, another, I think, a throwaway lap in order to benefit this second lap. Hustling the truck through 1 and 2. Now throttling back up out of turn number 2, looking pretty good this time. Another
downshift. Came across the line in the 28 truck. He's in 9th at the moment, going on lap number 2.
Comes Munsell. And out of turn 4, a 34.19, which will jump him only up to 16. Not really the run I think he was looking for, is Travis Beckner. Rounds 3 and 4 on his second lap. I don't see an improvement coming here with a 30.3 first lap. Cross the line? Nope, not quite. 33.77, a little slower.
It just looks like he's going to just stay inside the top 10. Unless Chris Seidenfein has anything to say about it, if he wants to try to see if he can get himself inside the top 10 of the 45 machine. Not a good night last night. Retired early on after early damage. Actually, he got damaged before they even took the green flag.
At lap 0 was the collision there. 31.669 first lap. Seidenfein will get on the board with that. I think there was some contact with the wall. And he's loose out of turn 2. Oh. And Seidenfein will start at the tail of the field tonight. That is a bummer.
He probably cannot wait to leave this track.
Yeah, he's not a fan.
At the rate this week is going for him.
There's a lot of drivers that aren't fans of this place, but some of the ones that were the most vocal about it did the best last night. So take with that what you will. Here comes Irvin on his second lap, 37.04. Only to be good enough for 25th. I'm sure he'll also be disappointed. And with just a minute left, the opportunity to qualify has evaporated for Matthew Cochran, Jacob Bell, Josh Taylor, Jeff No, James Coey, and Jordan Hurley, all of which did not even make an attempt to qualify. They will all start at the tail of the field tonight, Finian.
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure they're actually in the server, and yeah, all those guys are in the server. They just chose not to qualify, which is a bit interesting. I would think, at least try to qualify, get yourself up in the order, because it's not like, the super speedway where you strategically try to keep yourself in the back, wait for chaos to ensue, and then move yourself to the front. At a track like this, again, qualifying not going to be the end-all, be-all, but you kind of want to set yourself up a little bit, as good as you can for the race.
Yeah, again, I sometimes I understand getting out of it, it places, especially at short tracks too. If you think you're going to end up mid-pack, maybe there's something about starting out in the tail and letting everyone wreck in front of you. The problem is that short tracks, you end up kind of in the wrecks anyway, whether you're mid-pack or the back of the pack. So I don't necessarily love that strategy. I like to give myself the best shot I have at running up front all night. That starts with this qualifying effort, but others might feel different, start at the rear and give it the best shot they've got tonight. But HelloFresh 125 is going to kick off in just a minute here. And when we do kick off, it'll be 125 laps worth of racing. We had 146 after all things were said and done last night, and 141 scheduled laps. We had a green-white checkered and extended the race a little while. It took about 2 hours to complete, but that was because we had 12 cautions en route to the end of that event.
I think more than that, actually, because I think we saw 12. I think it was probably more like 13,
14. We checked right before the tail end, I think.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting night, but I do think we're going to get a nice long green flag race in tonight. I just have a feeling the way these trucks are going to drive around here is going to be a lot more comfortable than the drivers last night. I think the biggest question is late in the run, how does the bounce shift on the tire? Will the cars, or the trucks rather, kind of fall into an understeer or an oversteer. The oversteer situation is what we saw last night. The understeer is when we're going to see right front blown tires, which, come to think of it, we have not seen a tire blow in iRacing on the right front in a very long time after that mechanic kind of came to fruition a year or two ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it doesn't help that the leagues that we usually broadcast have people that usually know what they're doing.
That helps.
I think if you were to be like a bottom split, you're broadcasting that, you would probably see a lot more.
All right, heading down to the grid now. It's time for the Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. We'll head down to the grid, kick things off with row number 1. And starting on that first row, it's going to be Reinhardt's the hometown hero in the number 3. 30.143, his qualifying time. He'll start alongside James Scioli in the number 7. He will start second.
Moving on back, row number 2, Cameron Hearn in the 67 is going to line up on the inside next to Matthew Bell in 4th in the 9 truck.
Starting in 5th place will be Brad Slaughter Jr.'s number 8 truck alongside David Weishart. Last night's winner in the number 33 starts 6th.
Back in 7th place is going to be the 12 truck of Shane Abbey next to Justin Anasoga. It's going to be lined up in the 88 machine.
Starting in 9th, it's Travis Beckner's number 28. Bryce Senesac will roll off alongside him in row 5 in the 09 and 10th.
Back in row 6 is going to be Kyle Sieg on the inside in 39 next to Jordan Martin in the 11 in 12th place.
Starting in 13th, it's Cahill Holmes in the number 41. Danny Ware starts 14th in the 00.
Convoy's going to be lined up in the 16 truck in 15th. Justin Munsell next to him in the 20 truck in 16th.
17th place, row 9, Colin Fambro's number 18 truck. Carter Coop starts 18th in the number 52.
Back in 19th is going to be AJ Roderick in the 56. Tyler Hallman's going to line up next to him in the 42 in 20th.
21st place is Eric Wineland's number 21. Ryan Swan starts 22nd in the 19.
Derek Grant's going to be rolling off in 23rd in the 46 truck. Bobby Tinch next to him in the 66 is going to roll off in 24th.
25th place is Paul Irvin's number 48. Logan Hartman starts 26th in the 51.
Lathick's going to be rolling off in the 53 in 27. Cody Cutter in the 25 trucks coming in 28th.
29th place is Tommy Ryan. Jacob Bell starts 30th in the number 77.
Jordan Rowe is going to line up in the 5 truck in 31st. Jeff Noe in the 55 in 32nd.
Chris Seidenfeiden starts 33rd in the 45. Matthew Cochran 34th, the number 4.
Around airfield is going to be Jeff Ryan in the 37 35th. Josh Taylor in the 57 and 36. And James Coe all the way back in 37th in the 24 machine.
Time to go racing. It is the HelloFresh 125 for the Area Truck Series, round number 10 of the season from New Hampshire Motor Speedway up northeast, Loudon, New Hampshire. Green flag flies. We are racing at New Hampshire. For the lead, Ryan Hart's battling Scioli. Ryan wins the battle, but there's a trouble behind Logan Hartman and big damage to the 55 of Jeff Noe. And that is a big, big mess in turns 3 and 4. Dead stop there, lap number 1, and that truck is junk.
Yeah, it's because I know only went about 3 turns in this race and going to be effectively out of it early on. Got tangled up with the 51. It seemed like the 51 went around and had a bit of help.
Yeah, here's some of the 5 wide East sports cars. That's the 5 of Hurley, I believe. And then right there, gonna get sandwiched. Around he went, and nothing that the 55 could do. He was completely a passenger in that, and that's a frustrating way to have your race end here early. Just watch this. There's nothing that the 55 could have done different other than not be there. And that's what comes down to. Think about not qualifying, Finian. This is the position you put yourself in.
Yeah, I was going to say, also you can see a massive amount of neck code as well, so nothing really 55 could do better either.
Big bummer. That's a Simrat Market replay for you, though. Jeff Noe in the 55. 51 of Hartman already out. Looks like there's another truck on pit lane. That appears to be the 99 of Tommy Ryan. Unscheduled stop here early. Maybe you just fuel the truck up and give yourself the best shot.
I was gonna say, really hope he's not getting tires. That seems like a really big waste of a tire set only going 1 lap. Yeah, he's just gonna get fuel.
Topping off. Why not, right? You're kind of now towards the back. You might as well top the truck off and set for run to the end if you have that. So looks like 2 trucks already out. We started with 36. We are down to 34. Tommy Ryan was the last runner on the racetrack. Hartz and Scioli had a pretty fierce fight there for the first lap, but the 3 truck had won it. And I like What? What are you laughing at?
No, Travis Beckner just went in the chat. He's like, hey, if you guys can hear, if the broadcasters can hear me, I say hi.
Hi, Travis. Finian has the ears on. Yeah, I can't hear you. Creative. That's for good reason. We broadcast.
That would be very entertaining.
It really would be, and I've thought at times, because here's the thing I can do, Finian, that I've thought about, is you can put radio on a different audio device, can't you? You can.
Yeah, the chat audio is in a separate channel.
Yeah, so I could totally run that in a different channel on my mixer and have that on command.
The problem is that drivers tend to say very naughty things.
No, but I can have it, I'm saying I can have it muted, and then, yeah, I have to be able to replay. That's the, I guess I can hear it on the replay, right? So I guess if it was...
Well, you can hear, if you rewind it to a certain point in time, yeah, you can.
But I'm saying it because I can run on a different audio device, it means I can hear it, even though it's not going out on the broadcast.
Oh, that's
and then I can unmute it and then play it back. So maybe
you could do that unless you want to have people constantly talking here besides me.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, in times like
I mean, I could mute it there too, but or have it.
Yeah,
on
I guess you could.
Volume.
I was going to say they talk about half the time. It was really funny just listening to these guys chat under caution because they just talk about random things. And like I'm like normally talking with a broadcast about stuff. And I hear them talking about like a movie they watch or like something they had to eat. And it's like I just pick up on these random things that I hear in the background.
So if people ever wonder how the innovation on SimTV happens, times like this, you get a flap one caution. You think about how you could improve things.
So it's worked for the last almost 5 years now.
Well, I like Eric. When Eric Wineland is with us here in the booth, I really enjoy what he and his technology stack add to the broadcast with being able to replay back particular moments. It doesn't. It requires an extra body to do that, but it is. So the 5's contact was ruled netcode, so he will not have to drop to the tail of the field. We are going to restart here at lap number 6 of 125, the HelloFresh 125. Reinhardt's James Scioli sharing that front row again. Chevrolet Silverados flanked by a Silverado and a Tundra behind him. Back under green from New Hampshire, back underway.
Oh! Eric Wineland getting a big shunt in the back further down the order after a bit of a domino effect. Now you see the guys almost 4 wide into turn 1. That's not going to work.
Sorting it out right now. Again, it's the initial starts and restarts that make everybody pretty scrambled here. Down the back straightaway, one truck bounced off the wall. That was the 53 of Hicks. And wow, someone just went right up the middle. That was the red truck there at the back of that shot, the 46 of Garrett Grant. And everybody makes it through a lap this time out of turn number 4, but it is a frantic scramble all the way through the field. How about this battle for 5th? Here's Shane Abbey, Brad Slaughter Jr., and David Weishart, and others. Now Matthew Bell under fire.
I was going to say, right now it's not a whole lot of give, but a lot of take going on the track. Everyone's trying to grab as many spots as possible, because now when the tires are fresh and everyone's clumped together.
Weishart hit a big lunge into turn 3 on the bottom of the racetrack, slides up the hill just a little bit. One truck way high in 3 and 4. Didn't quite catch who that was. It was the silver truck. The 56 of A.J. Roderick was way up there in 3 and 4. I think we might see some even more elbows out than we saw last night because of the slower speeds. Drivers might be a little, and more mechanical grip. They might be a little bit more willing to lean on each other for positions. Here's Cameron Hearn and Scioli for a second.
I was going to say, watching them up ahead, we saw on the opening lap, didn't really get a chance to mention it, but Scioli on the opening lap in turn 3 threw it down in the apron trying to make a move, similar to what we saw him do in qualifying. Beckner just had a bit of a swerve down the front straight. I'm not sure why.
Big protection there, the 09 of Senesac. Big moment there on corner entry as we ride on board with Kyle Sieg here tonight, who started in 11th. He's up 1 spot and he's shifting. We've heard quite a few drivers in qualifying going down a gear, but every time you shift in one of these old age pattern cars, you got to know how to do it, get up the gears and down the gears without shocking the gearbox and thus the rear wheels on corner entry.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially later in the run when the tires start to wear out, you lose a lot of grip. All it takes is one misshift and you get the tires spinning if you don't rev match properly, and the car goes around.
Hogak on the high lane there in the 88 Exalta truck. Well practiced tonight. We've documented that. Another bounce off the wall for 41 of the Hill Holmes. Here comes Fambro to the inside of the 16 of Tom Bourne.
Well, there's 41 way up, almost into the wall. They'll be able to come back down mid-corner and save that.
Wow, the 18 and 16, a little bit of bumper paint trading there down into turn 1. Justin Munsell chasing. This is that side-by-side that will wear you out over a course of a long race. We saw plenty of times last night, I think the 84 and the 8, that had enough of each other by about lap 25.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the ironic thing was that they were with each other for the majority of that race unfolding. They're constantly next to each other, still battling it out, as we see. Oh, Farrell making contact with a 16 up board and getting to the wall. Just saw it on the camera there.
Yeah, they've done that a couple of times already. Here's another look at it quickly on the Simrat Market replay. They just kind of ran into each other. Once, twice, thrice, and they're still throwing hands here down the back straightaway. Here comes almost to the inside into turn 3.
I'm sure Bourne was trying to hope that he can see if he can get some sort of payback on Fanbro for that, but that's to deal with the 41. Okay, the home, as you mentioned, throwing it up the inside. I don't think he's going to have quite enough success here. And the run off the corner of that high lane, it's really tough to beat there. You see Munson take advantage of that. Looking for the back side by side, Paul Irvin, Carter Coop duking it out.
52 and 48. That upper groove. Carry a little bit more speed out there, but you have grip efficiency. Spin behind him out of turn 2, and caution is out. The 53 of Hicks goes around for a spin. Second caution out, lap 13 here, the HelloFresh 125.
He had a bit of help coming off of turn 2. He's going to come down a little bit. And Bobby Tinch coming off the corner, just going to clip the 53 enough to send him into a tailspin.
Yeah, that was just one of those moments where I think there was just 2 trucks that were always going to occupy the same space. Not really sure. I mean, if I had to lean one way, I'd say it's on the 66, but I don't want to be in race control right now. I'm not that confident in that response.
Yep, well, that's race control's problem to figure out who's to blame. Yeah, let's see. Ooh, are people going to come in for pit stops?
Already?
Haven't had a whole lot of green flag running.
Yeah, that is surprising to me. Okay, well, there we go. And a split strategy. All right, I thought we'd have more drivers stay out. Well, there's a couple more. Jordan Martin.
Wow, I was going to say, the guys are deciding really last minute that pit road attenuator is about to get some work.
Yep, so only 4, maybe 5 stay out.
Interesting.
Definitely interesting. I didn't expect to see anybody on pit lane now. I don't know how much I love that call to come to pit lane. Laps, you know, maybe,
yeah, well,
maybe
these guys have 4 tire sets available during the race. They have 5 in total, so they can change tires 4 times.
That's a lot of tires for a 125 lap race.
It is, but you know, say you use one now, another caution comes out lap 50. You use your second, get on your second set. Another one, then there's another one later on. You go to your third set, and then you may have one. I mean, it does seem like it's enough, but you can very easily burn through it, and you might want to be in a position where you save them for later. I think that's why we're seeing these guys staying out. They want to save those tire sets for something later, better on. The last thing you want is to be stuck without any fresh tires to switch to.
So we're in lap 15 here in the HelloFresh 125. For those that just joined us, this race is brought to you by HelloFresh. Looking for an easy way to eat well and save money this year? Cut back on expensive takeout and delivery and get started with HelloFresh. You'll love how fast, easy, and affordable it is to whip up a restaurant-quality meal right in your own kitchen. Down on Loudon, New Hampshire and New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We're going to lap 16 of 125. We talked last night about the Roval configuration, and pointed out that it... Oops.
Nope, that's wrong.
Try that again. So you come off the back straightaway, make this loop, you come back over here, come on down, you do a little cane nonsense, back on the road, on the oval. Try to do an AI race with this course last night, and instantly blue screened my computer. So iRacing didn't want to let that exist, unfortunately.
It exists in our hearts.
Yeah, I think my issue was pit stalls. I think I had like 35 cars or something, and I think the track would be able to handle, but perhaps that was a lot for the Titan Twist road course there.
Yeah, too much excitement for New Hampshire.
I guess so. You really don't like this place, do you?
No, I mean, I do like it a little bit after last night, but I would personally not want to drive here. I don't mind watching a race as much now.
Yeah, I don't think If this was the real world, I would not go to this race.
Wait, as a driver, as a
I
spectator?
might not even turn it on if it was on TV. But I have to watch it. And last night it was pretty good. So that was I'll give it credit where credit is due.
Yeah, I always just felt as a driver it was so big chore to drive in the stock car. In the Indy car and like open wheel cars, not as bad. Even in short late models, modified, not as bad. Stock cars, they're just they're just so heavy, bulky, and awkward to kind of go around here. In my opinion.
I just like tracks with banking.
Yeah, banking's nice.
Like, and just enough where you can slide up it a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But flat tracks have never really been my jam. But I've been making good use of it tonight. Scioli, Brad Slaughter Jr., and all the way down to Jordan Hurley on old tires. Everybody else on fresh Goodyears. Green flag back in the air, and the outside lane getting shuffled already as we head down to turn 1 on this restart on lap 18.
Yeah, poor start from Brad Slaughter, just did not go in quickly. He's going to settle back into third as they shuffle down in the middle of the field, trying to sort themselves out.
There's the 3 of Ryan Hartz, who did come to pit lane. Led all the opening laps of this race. Was really disappointed last night because he was leading when a late race caution came up and ended up losing the race.
Whoa.
After that. Look at the crossover from Garrett Grant trying to put him in the middle 3 wide.
Yeah, I was going to say, Hart just did a slide job in front of Grant and just made it fit by a couple inches. Whoa, throws it hard, almost doors Bryce Senizak out of the way. That could have been dangerous.
Caution behind him and a big pileup in turn 2.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, that's 7 or 8 trucks.
Junkyard.
16 to Tom Bourne, the 9 of Matthew Bell. He might have been at the 20 end of that because he was running right around where the 3 truck was. 28 of Travis Beckner. There's some big players in this one.
Yeah, you definitely want to look at Matthew Bell or Beckner at the start of this.
That tells me a lot that I needed to know. Let's check a look on the SimRat Market replay. Let's jump back a little bit farther. See the genesis of this. And watch the 9 and the 28 get together, and Munsell turns around the 12, and then just a huge mess. Too much to even follow. We got to slow-mo this one to follow it all. Again, the 9 tags the 28. 12 goes around off the nose of the 20, and then right here, the 48, 41. Seidenfeiden just squeezed through. 56, the 37.
You want to have
52.
a good view to look back on. Look at Danny Ware's on board.
Yeah, Danny Ware's on board here. 00. Let's see what he saw.
Right in the middle of this, too. It just happened just up the road. You see 28 spin 9 going, and the C's parked.
Behind him.
Close back in behind him.
Yeah. Then Seidenfeiden as well in the 45. That is a scary sight. Where do you go? Where do you go? Where do you go? Right there.
Just making it through.
Oh, Vector got hit pretty hard in the side there by the 48 of Irvin. So there will be a lot of trucks fairly severely damaged from that incident. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that are on pit lane servicing crash damage from that incident here. And just like last night, kind of slow progress, and I'm a little surprised. I'm going to be honest. I thought we'd get this race kind of in a long green run, but getting past that clump stage at the very beginning is proving to be a bit of a challenge tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a good chance that we may have some green flag runs now. A lot of strong trucks taken out in that wreck. Matthew Bell, Travis Beckner, both of which still getting repairs. So a couple others as well down on pit lane. So I think with more trucks taken out of the mix, you would think we might have a better chance at green flag runs, longer green flag runs.
Yeah, I think that could help. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of trucks that are terminally damaged in that. So Matthew Bell.
No, they're definitely going to be off the pace, though.
Yeah, that truck is shortened up a couple inches, nose to tail, side to side. Logitech logo looks about as crusty as the one on my 9. I can't wait. I'm building the rig. I can't wait. I'm very excited to.
Yeah, your thing is long overdue. I've had my system for 2 years. I still can't believe you're still with it.
But you don't have a rig, right? You've just
no, I don't have a rig.
Yeah.
But I still I don't have a rig, but at least I have a decent wheelbase and stuff. You still have entry level equipment.
Yeah, I've never really prioritized the driving aspect of the sim because I got iRacing. I mean, I've been racing and iRacing for a while, but back in it would have been 2017, Halo 2017. That like I resubbed to iRacing, and then within 2 months, it was broadcast was like the thing that we did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot of time that elapsed between those two. Now I think back at it.
And then I mean I drove in stints after that.
You drove a controller for half of that.
Yeah, and I crushed on the controller. Maybe I should just go back to that. 3 KI rating on an Xbox controller. Went downhill after that. Well,
yeah, it's really funny for those at home. Kyle rarely uses his racing simulator to race.
I mean, I don't really. I mean, my desk setup is set up to broadcast, and that's how it's happened. But I have a space cleared out next to that to build a rig and hopefully kind of share. I mean, the PC will kind of be a shared resource there, but I'm excited to get back in and really get the love back for driving, because one of the things I'm realizing I'm losing is the context for how a lot of these things drive on these newer and newer tire models. So got to keep up to date with what's going on in the sim. Hoping to have that all. I'm getting Moza gear, so excited for that to next couple of weeks. Green flag back in the air here in the HelloFresh 125 from New Hampshire. Scioli leads, and they're 4 wide into turn number 1.
Oh boy. 5 Wide Esports going 4 wide on the apron down into turn 1.
Living up to their name. Oh, that's Hurley way on the bottom. Oop, trouble in the background. One truck gets tripped up. That's the 46 at Grant. Keeps it straight, but there definitely was some contact there. As even up front, it's getting scrappy.
Yeah, I was going to say, guys just getting eaten up after just some slight door contact and still getting back, rhythm now. It's going to be pretty hard for some of these guys, especially the guys with damage.
Big dives into turn 1.
Whoa, David Weiser hard to the wall in turn 1 and 2. Got hip check, caution out.
Wow, caution is out. I didn't actually see why there was a yellow, and now I do because there's more trucks turned around. Cody Cutrer is one of them. Another turn 2 incident here that I think might have stemmed as a catalyst to or a result of the 33.
So Anna Sogak actually was the truck that got spun around to generate the caution.
33. Oh, Jordan Martin just completely broadsided number 33. Here's that again. Drives in and just right up the hill and into the 33. But then you said Anna Sogak was the one that spun, and here's how that happened. Off the Carter Coupe machine, sends him around, and then there was more. Cody Cutrer bounces off the 24. And lazily slides to a halt there. A lot going on in that one.
Yeah. 2 separate incidents. I mean, one of them really wasn't a caution-worthy one, but going to be very severe damage for the 33. See Weiser coming in, no surprise there. That was a decent shot to the wall.
Got away just for a moment. 100 laps to go here. 4 cautions in the first 26 laps. Half this race has been under yellow so far, so the progress so far has been relatively slow, but again, we saw this kind of happen last night here at New Hampshire as well, just the clump factor, as I call it, after a restart before everyone gets strung out. Have a lot of aggression, and especially here at these flat tracks, you don't have the banking to lean on, so if you get alongside somebody and you just slip just the tiniest bit and kind of knock wheel to wheel, that's what happened to Weishart.
This is why banking is a good thing. See Texas?
They just ruined that place.
It's such a bad track.
You could have
I liked
90
it before.
degrees of
Actually, I
banking.
respected it. Like I thought it was a decent track before. I don't know why.
Wasn't a huge fan.
Because it's like we're running out of options, right? Because Atlanta is basically a super speedway. Texas sucks. I mean, Charlotte's still there at least.
Charlotte's great. Charlotte's a great racetrack. I mean,
Don't touch Charlotte.
I thought the Coke 600 this year was one of the best stock car races I have seen in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I really wish I watched that race because I was just kind of like thinking about that. I was like, okay, well, I knew Monaco was going to be a bit of a snooze as it usually is. That was a bit more interesting with the rain. Indy 500, almost always a classic. And then I was kind of like, Coke 600 because I think it was pretty boring the year before, if I'm not mistaken, right? Last year.
Which race?
Coke 600.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Coke
I mean, it was the previous 5 or 6 years in the Gen 6 era were pretty abysmal.
Yeah, so I just assumed that, with the way the next gen, from what I was hearing about it, like, the car is not the best at racing, but apparently put on a decent show.
Well, I think the next gen car, they solved everything that needed to be solved, almost, with the intermediate package at the expense of short tracks and road courses. I didn't like that trade-off. because I always like to tune in for the road races, and I just feel that they built a GT3 car for ovals, and so when you put the GT3 car basically on a road course, it doesn't race like the stock cars race. And I like GT3 racing and sports car racing, but for a different reason than I turned on NASCAR on the road. But I didn't love that trade-off, but it's going to require, I mean, they're never going to go back to solid rear axles, you know, and ditching the independent rear suspension and going to a smaller tire. I mean, that was the biggest issue, is much larger tires in terms of their width, independent rear suspension. You're just gained a ton of braking grip. That's where all the passing happens.
Yeah.
So, and you know, essentially you eliminated wheel hop. That was what everyone was dancing on. Nerdy road racer stuff. We're racing ovals tonight at New Hampshire. Working lap number 29 of 125 of the HelloFresh 125. Scioli, Brad Slaughter Jr. lead the way here. Scioli on the outside for this corner.
Yeah, here see how's this going to work. Have not really seen many drivers, even last night too. I think up until the last restart, I didn't see anyone take the outside to restart. Didn't work out. I mean, it worked out pretty well last night too. So we'll see how it works out for Scioli now, leading the field back to green.
Green flag back in the air. A little bit slower restart that time. Scioli clears the field into turn one.
It's all chaos ensuing in behind them, almost 3 wide coming off of turn 2. It's going to be Brad Slaughter in second place, Tyler Hallman up in third place, trying to chase these guys down, and Scioli diving down for the apron.
Taking trucks real wide here in the middle of 3 and 4. You mentioned that 42. He was in the mix last season as well for quite some time. Gordon Martin in the 11 up to 4th place, and that was at the expense of 33 of David Weishart, who's 1 lap down. I'm sure he'd love an opportunity for a free pass, and he's going to get it because the 88 spins in turn 1, and around goes Anna Sogak again.
It's not been a good night for the 88.
Oh, despite all that practice he had. Mostly because, is it off the same truck? No, the 24 got 24? Into the 5 before, or the Cutler's car rather, the 25.
Yeah, no, it's also some net coated well there as well.
What is it with the net code tonight? It's been especially bad.
I have kind of hard to see from that angle. There was decent gap.
I know, but I just don't remember that being a big issue on New Hampshire or the trucks in particular.
There are quite a few guys struggling with the internet in general tonight. So
yeah, there's that gap. Slow this down. Contact there. Anna Sogak will get the short end of the stick. We're back under yellow again. Had a tough race tonight. Scioli, Slaughter, Allman, Martin, Swan. The top 5 have yet to pit, so neither have Gordon Hurley or Garrett Grant. So there are 7 trucks that have not yet made a single pit stop. I think we'll likely see them just go for a 1-stopper. They'll just probably stop around halfway somewhere and call it a day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably a little while before we see some of these guys up in the front come in, because, I mean, at the rate we're going at, right, there's really not much of a reason to come in. We haven't had a whole lot of green flag laps. Most of them have been under caution, so why pit now?
Right, and I think the other thing is last night, I mean, consider that this race is 125 laps, 125 miles. You set the race based on time to take to complete. They're long laps here. 30-second laps are relatively long laps as far as stock car racing goes. So you end up with a situation where you've got long laps, but you don't have a long distance. So you're only going to need 1 stop versus some of the other races where you might have to make 2 or 3 stops. Tonight is definitely a 1-stop race, and you can probably make that stop anywhere from now until lap 100, basically. I don't think it's going to be keep running under yellow. You might even be able to go all the way to the end. I just don't think that that's a super safe bet.
No, these guys are definitely going to want to get tires, and I think that's definitely going to be the thing preventing it from being a 1-stop race. These guys, when they're going to want to come down for tires whenever it's advantageous to them. So they're going to try to see, but the big game is always, when do they think, when's the last caution before the big green flag run? Because it happens at some point where you get caution, then you have a stretch of green flag laps, and then maybe another caution later on, but when's that cutoff, when's that transition? Everyone tries to guess, and a lot of people usually end up getting it wrong.
So of the 36 trucks that took the green flag, there are 32 rolling. The 4 that are out, Kyle Seek, Hill Holmes, Jeff No, and Logan Hartman. Those 2 are out on the opening lap. There are now no trucks that are laps down. Everybody's on the lead lap, including Paul Irvin, who runs 32nd. Got some nose damage in that big crash a couple of laps ago up at turn 2. Still keeping the effort to keep that truck rolling and get any points that he.
Yeah, he's been coming down constantly, trying to get that thing, as mentioned, fixed up as much as possible, which is tough to do. It always sucks to be in that situation where every caution, you're just coming down a pit lane, your virtual pit crew virtually bangs on your virtual race car, and then you hope that it gets fixed up, and then ends up feeling worse somehow.
Travis Beckner's truck now running last on track. Some damage to boot. Be doubling up for the restart this time, and indeed we are. Scioli again elects for the outside lane. I don't love this, especially because if Brad Slaughter does manage to keep up alongside him and keep some overlap, he can kind of run the 7 up the hill. I'd rather be on the bottom, but maybe Scioli feels like the bottom is harder to control.
I think he feels like I think what he's trying to do is trying to get the guy in the row behind him, so in this case Jordan Martin, to get alongside the 8 and then get that run off for turn 2, try to clear the 8 there. I think that's what his mind says, but we'll see. It's been hard for the guy to do that, so we'll see what happens here.
Strategy call there as green flag is back in the air, lap 36 in the HelloFresh 125. Big dive by the 46 of Garrett Grant into turn 3. He's been very sendy down there, trying to make up any ground he can. A bit of a battle here for fourth.
He's been kind of in the thick of the mess for a majority of the field as we look at that battle for fourth. Cameron Hearn.
Oh, no! The 3 involved. Hartz is hard in the fence in turn 1, and more are going to pile in. The 66 is also involved, and that was a big hit for a couple of those trucks. Man, I was wrong about the trend of this race, wasn't I?
Oh, yeah. That's why you're in the booth, not on the box.
Larry Max trends the race. It's the 3 and the 19. I think the 3 turn in here. Oh, no, they just, oh, man.
Oh, this is another 2 separate incident thing.
4 separate incidents. But this was just odd. Does the 19 just not turn in here? Is that what's going on, or? Oh, no, yeah, he does.
He turned in. I think he went in a little too hot, so he tried to turn left, and then the truck went up the hill.
Man, that was just...
And then in behind, you could see the second contact. So that happened. Colin Fambro made a move to the inside of Danny Ware and Chris Seidenfeiden. That started the second part of this wreck and the bigger part of it.
Truck's just bouncing off of everybody here. It's hard to
Eric Wineland involved.
Tell where one wreck stops and another starts. 16 might have kind of had a pretty good feel for it, and by feel I mean got hit on pretty much every corner of his truck. Hit from behind, hit in front, hit in the side.
Probably hit again. Nope.
Got away with that one, but the big hit there for the 3. Kind of got double whammied here. Right on board now with 3 of Hearts. Ooh, the 66 had a wild slide there right at the end. But lots more trucks, and this time damaged even more severely. And this is just going to keep stacking for those that already had contact and damage from before. 56 of Roderick is still in the truck. Hicks rolling. Ryan Swan's truck doesn't look super bad. A lot of torn up trucks tonight.
Yeah, Danny Ware not particularly a fan of Colin Fambro after that last wreck, quoting that he drives like a expletive idiot.
What kind of language?
It's really fun. Even last night, dude, this track somehow manages to bring out the worst in people, even though it's not a short track. Although it basically drives like a short track.
I think that I think it all again stems back to the fact that the track is flat. So you go off into a corner side by side, and even if you're not intending to, slightest little slip, you end up banging into somebody, and then they think that it's intentional. They come back at you, and the cycle just repeats viciously. There's just not a lot of lateral grip to be had, and when you lose it, you end up running into somebody and then end up in the fence. But the thing is that's not helping is these, lots of yellows kind of compounds that, because then you just get mad. Even if you're not involved in a wreck, you're trying to stay out front and stay clean, and you keep getting the caution every 3-5 laps, and that'll make you mad, and then you're hot, and then you go off into a corner too hot, hit somebody, they take you out. It's just a never-ending cycle.
Reminds me of the, I think, I'm not sure, no, I don't think the Old Spice ones, more like the DirecTV ads, just things get progressively worse. And then you have a reason to order DirecTV.
6 cautions for 23 of our 41 laps. We are at a frightening ratio there.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be anywhere close to the caution record, but...
No, we just don't have enough laps to get there, I don't think.
Yeah.
You almost have to be at Martinsville or LA Coliseum to break that. What was it, 24?
No, I always forget the number. Every time you ask me, I always forget.
I think it's 24.
I think 24, 25. I want to say 24.
I remember 22 existing also. We're not going to get anywhere close to that. But the HelloFresh 125 must continue. Lap 42. Scioli again elects for the outside lane. Hartz is retired, unfortunately. Hometown guy. Not going to finish the home race tonight. Green flag.
Cameron Hart trying to squeeze the outside of Brad Sauter Jr., trying to see if he can get second place away. This is exactly what Skyler's been hoping for with these free starts, and now finally can fight the A as Hearn throws it into turn 3.
Yeah, that's a pretty big brain move by Scioli to do what he's doing. It's working very well. 3 wide out of turn 4.
And off they go to turn 1 again with it looks like the 12. Oh. Abby, ooh, I just saw some contact on the 52. Coop getting involved in something.
Yeah, the 52 and 24 bounced off each other mid-corner. Tyler Hallman to the bottom of Seidenfeiden, who started deep in the field. He's up to 8th after starting 33rd. Good climb for the 45. He's kept his nose clean as to the best of his ability tonight. Getting through all the spins and accidents and is up inside the top 10.
The race is still very much young, so hopefully all the best for him. Hopefully he can continue going forward as he's side by side with Tyler Hallman now coming off of turn 2. Oh, and we just jinxed him as he gets...
Yeah, just a light contact there though, but Colin Fambro will use that to drive on by if he can to the inside at turn 3. A little bit of action ahead of him. 5 of Hurley and Jordan Martin door to door. That's for 5th place. And still lots of shifting. I think also the shifting is participating in this chaos because the downshifting is destabilizing trucks on entry. So that's definitely not helping the case.
Oh, absolutely. It's putting the truck in a compromised position handling wise, and we're seeing it unfold on the track. You see a lot of guys get very close to the wall off turn 2.
I'm curious as to the efficacy of the downshifting. I don't remember that being a thing in the trucks here, at least in past builds. So I wonder if there's been some changes that make it more favorable to downshift, but I always thought you got plenty of dig here in 4th gear.
Yeah, especially with the trucks. I mean, it makes sense more for the Cup cars, at least the old Cup cars, definitely the new ones.
Well,
so your Jordan Hurley.
The older Cup cars, you had such a massive delta between your corner speed and your straightaway speed, but we're seeing like 150 max. So 90-ish mid-corner speed to 150 is only 60 miles an hour. You can cover that in 1 gear. you know, the torque curve on these engines is pretty wide, so you can really carry good speed. The Cup cars, you might have 90 or 85 mid-corner, all the way up to 160, 165. And then you kind of could benefit from that extra gear. I think the Cup cars, the extra power a little peakier as well. They weren't so choked down. So I think that all that kind of plays into this, but I think that's part of the problem is drivers downshifting, destabilizing, using the gearbox to slow the truck down also. That can probably play into that. But now we got a little green flag run going here. Here comes Senesac to the inside of Hurley for 4th place.
Yeah, Hurley just took that spot as we were looking there, and as he just threw it into turn 3 and 4. Hurley, though, really loose on the exit. That allowed Senesac to trail him back in, but Bryce has nothing really for the 5 at the moment, so Hurley will secure that spot.
Out front, James Scioli on that with that restart maneuver got the lead, but here's why he was getting creative. Cameron Hearn is faster than him and is approaching pretty quickly. Gap right now, 0.4 of a second.
I talk about a guy who's, again, surprised that he doesn't have a win. That number 67, Hearn, he's been quick all season, just hasn't quite been able to get that win secured. Looking pretty good tonight as he's chasing down that 7 truck.
He's been so close so many times. Think back to the penalties he got too late in races. The IRP that he got one, or no, it was ORP. I think, yeah.
Yeah, then I remember, and then he got Rockingham and Charlotte, but got taken out early on after running up near the front.
Oh, wrong. Else. ORP was the Lodge Box race. But Hearn chipping away here at the 10th of a second, working lap number 50 here. Brad Slaughter Jr. ran laps that were pretty much on par with Scioli, so let's not count out the number 8 yet. Restart's weren't his thing, but maybe the long run pace is.
Yeah, we'll see. I never really seen Brad be particularly good on the longer runs. I feel like he's a little bit more on the short run kind of guy. Still running well, obviously, in 3rd. And has a pretty decent gap back to Jordan Hurley. Looking further down the Eric Wineland. Coming off of turn 4, heading on the front straightaway, is chasing down Danny Ware. 00 has been in quite a few incidents. Mostly, I mean, pretty much actually all of them, not of his own doing.
That truck is torn up, that 00. Wineland, though, in this scrap, the 56, Roderick bounces off the fence out of 2. And just ahead of them, here's a little 3-truck scrap. Munsell, Ryan, and Matthew Bell throws Shane Abbey in the mix as well. Abbey's gone backwards since the start of the night, 7th to 14th.
Amazing that Matthew Bell's truck is still doing as well as it is. He's been involved in quite a few things. Got heavily involved in that wreck off of turn 2, the big wreck off of turn 2.
Oh, look out. There goes the 37 of Ryan off of Shane Abbey. Ryan, nicely done, gathers it up. Great save there.
And he's not a happy camper after that.
Abbey just throws it in here pretty deep. Didn't have the overlap alongside on corner entry and just kind of kept going. Hearn has run down Scioli in just a lap or 2. Here he is for the top spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, he did catch him very quickly. Scioli's he's been trying that thing on the apron in 3. I feel like it's costing him more than gaining him in the later / mid part of this run. Now Hearn over the back. We always say catching is one thing, passing is another. See how wide the 7 truck can make his own truck.
Especially here at New Hampshire. You see some tire tracks from the 7 throttling up a little bit early. It'll open the door for the 67. Cameron Hearn to the inside, battling for the lead here in the HelloFresh 125. Hearn throws it in deep, takes the lead away. Crossover by the 7 now.
He has to watch his exit, though. Actually worked out pretty well for him, all things considered. Scioli hoping to try to see if he can get a run, maybe throw it up the inside in turn 3, but Hearn's going to dive it in deep and just cut him off.
And here's why. Have a look at tire scenario for Cameron Hearn. Last pit 39 laps ago, but for Scioli 54. He's on the original Goodyears he started the night on. And now that we're getting some laps on them, the heat cycles count. They will factor into the tire wear. Even though the difference is only about 15 laps, I think we're seeing a little bit of that difference right now.
We'll see how much of Hearn can use that difference as you look at Jordan Martin. Finally, Bryce Senesac close quarters off of turn 2. Holman late dive to the inside of turn 3. He's going to keep it down there, doesn't make any contact with the 09. Colin Famer riding him behind an 8th.
He's going to pick up another spot off Senesac. Holman throws the truck back in line on the front straightaway. Big lateral slide again. These trucks are not gripping up. They don't have a lot of downforce to lean on, so they're just going off into the corner and just letting the truck slide until it bites. And that bite point, kind of midway up the racetrack, that's where you kind of run into problems. You're expecting it to bite before it does, and then you end up kind of painting the door of your competitor with the colors on your truck.
Man, I really wish we had that where you can, your paint scheme rubs off on another driver because you can actually see who in contact with who.
To fit the puzzle pieces together a lot easier, that's for sure. Paul Irvin down top, not sure if he's got a problem. Roll on into pit lane. Come on back, 57 laps in.
Engine blue on the 48.
I thought I heard something like that.
Yeah, so he's done.
Hearn aggressively turning in. He's kind of running the Scioli line down here into turn one. Scioli actually gained a little ground back on the 67 the last time around. I don't think this is completely done. Maybe Cameron's driving a bit too hard right now. We'll see if it burns up his tires at all, but turning in very aggressively. I had an interesting moment. I saw some advice from Suelio Almeida, who's a prolific road racer in iRacing, talking about turning into a corner, kind of snapping the car off into the turn. He described it like opening a door by slapping it versus gently pushing the door. I thought that was a fantastic analogy, and a really good way to visualize it is to watch the 67 versus the 7 here. When they go off into the corner, watch the 67 snap this truck, a little bit less that time, but Scioli smoother on entry and gaining some ground back.
Yeah, problem is that exit, though, is really where it starts to get more compromised. That's a tough thing. I feel like the line they're taking, it works really well when you're trying to battle and overtake a driver, but for regular running, I don't think it's doing them a whole lot. At least I don't feel like it's doing them a whole lot, but I mean, it seems to be working because they keep doing it.
On board with Matthew Bell, we look at Chris Seiden fighting in 11th behind him. Justin Munsell, Shane Abbey, they're a little racy back there. Now, the big question nobody knows is what happens when the tires burn off. We haven't gotten a run like this yet tonight. So what happens? What does the truck do? Does it get tight? Does it get loose? Yet to see.
And also, when are these guys going to come in for the stop? Because everyone pretty much has to make a stop. So when you want to come in, obviously you want to try to run at least halfway, which will be in just a few laps' time.
That'll be, just lap 63 is our halfway point, so
yeah,
close. Munsell, big slip here, and Shane Abbey's going to try to fill this gap on the outside.
And tries to make it work there. Munsell sticking low to the yellow line. Chris Seidenfein just up ahead of them in the 45 machine.
All battle for about 11th spot. Abbey just kind of sticking to that. Well, I thought he was going to stick to the upper groove. This time he's going to go to the bottom. Had to jump on the binders to slow up significantly before he ran into the back of the 20. Crumbled Toyota.
I was going to say, I think that truck's already been crumbled enough tonight.
It's definitely living up to the name. Out front, no changes. Hearn's extended his lead to just about a half a second. Best battle on the racetrack you are watching right now behind the 45 for 11th.
And we'll be completing halfway at the end of this lap.
Yeah, so the drivers that didn't pit yet, I don't know if they're going to want to pit under green. I don't think they're going to have that expectation. I don't think there's any urgency to get down under green flag, so I don't think we'll see any stops. I mean, you could. I mean, again, this is the stage of the race I thought we would get to by lap 15 or 20 is the stage where you're just clicking off laps. Everyone's kind of biding their time, being a little nicer to each other. And what that leads you to is these long green flag runs that might be actually challenging to get out of and to find a caution flag. So here's Cameron Hearn now putting the 3 a lap down. That is a sad sight to see. That Rick's Hot Sauce truck torn up and 14 laps down. Does he have a score to settle, maybe?
I don't know. He might.
He can
For
gain
the 19.
1 spot on Paul Irvin as it stands. Irvin is out and Hartz is running.
I mean, you have to wonder, is it even worth it?
No.
Right. So,
I mean, it's not worth it to be out there either, though. That's the question.
I mean, I guess, might not have anything better to do. Might as well finish what we started.
14 laps down, I'm hanging up after that. Scully's run Hearn back down.
Chris Seidenfeld coming down to pit lane this time by.
Interesting. So he might be betting that this
The
race is going
interesting
to go
thing is
great.
that he actually already came down to pit lane.
Yeah.
Those guys that pit later on.
Again, I don't think it matters a lot, right? That 15-lap difference wasn't huge, just enough.
Well, right, but I was expecting more of the guys that came in, that didn't come in at all. I was expecting them to hit pit road first.
Yeah, but they have the most to lose right now, I think, leading this race. I don't think they want to give it up. I think they'd rather wait for a yellow. There's no urgency again. I think they can run a lot of this race without coming to pit lane. We'll see what the urgency looks like in a little while, though, as they lap some trucks. But Scioli is keeping Hearn honest right now. Had him down to about 0.2 of a second. I think Hearn is still faster, but Scioli's trying to keep him thinking about it.
I'm waiting for one of these dive bombs that Scioli's. He's not really, it's not really much of a dive bomb. It's just the way he's running the corner. But if he does choose to dive into the 67, that could be interesting.
We're only about 1.2 seconds off of fresh tire pace right now. And what we saw last night is tire difference was helpful, but it wasn't. You need to absolutely have fresh tires. I mean, we saw Scioli on a 2-tire call almost win the thing. So I think there's something to strategizing this more on the fuel load versus the tire strategy here. I don't think a big undercut or overcut is going to do you a lot of good. These two, though, have completely checked out. They are in their own zip code. 3 seconds back is Brad Slaughter Jr. in third.
I was just about to mention that. I was just looking back. I was wondering where Brad Slaughter was in the middle of all this, and yeah, he's actually in a bit of no man's land himself. He's 3 seconds ahead, 3 seconds away from the leaders, and 3 seconds ahead of Jordan Hurley. So he's kind of having a boring race at the moment in third place.
Down the inside of 3, putting him lap down.
And sorry, just wanted to point out too. Also, of the drivers that decided to come down and pit for more tires. They didn't really go anywhere for the most part. Hearn's really the only successful one. Everyone else that still hasn't pit yet, the lowest of them running is Garrett Grant 10th.
That's why I was so surprised to see so many people come down to pit lane, because we saw last night that the tires wear, the car handles poorly. But just because it's handling poorly doesn't mean it's not going fast. 15 laps is not enough to make a significant difference in your pace. So I was still surprised to see people come down that early when the difference after 50 or 60 laps is only 1.2 seconds. That means 15 laps, and most of that wasn't green flag. You can only expect a couple tenths of a difference, and that'll wear off pretty quickly with some restart heat cycles.
Yeah, absolutely. See these guys on the straightaway, Cameron Hearn. I feel like he's getting lower.
Yeah, both of these drivers
he's
are
about to take the road
experimenting.
course.
They are definitely experimenting with the lines that they're taking, because they're both running faster by a lot than everybody else on the racetrack. So I think they're just trying to maximize the tire and grip that they've got. But they're both entering low.
Ryan Swan down the pit lane.
19 going on down. He was deep in the field, though, so no major impact to the front runners. Oh, 67 slipped up the road here a little bit. Scioli's going to close back in. Brad Slaughter Jr. hits pit lane from third. He'll try a little undercut. We'll see what it gains him. He would need to pit about 3 or 4 laps in advance of these two to make up the difference in time alone.
Yeah, we'll see how many more are going to follow now that he's come on down. One of the first leaders to come to pit lane.
That leaves now Jordan Hurley as the third place car, 5.6 seconds back.
Yeah, look at that. It's a giant gap between second and third place.
And it's not like the front two are riding either. They're racing each other right now.
Oh, yeah. They're riding really hard. I'm still impressed because I honestly thought with the way they were running into the corner, just throwing the car into turns 1 and 3. I was expecting them to burn their tires up a little bit more, but no, they're doing a pretty good job.
And they're still the fastest trucks on the track by several tenths of a second a lap. Still racing. We'll jump back a little bit deeper. Here's Shane Abbey and Eric Wineland. Abbey is going to let up a lot on corner entry, and Wineland took a big-time advantage of that. The 12's trying the high lane here, while the leaders are trying the low lane. And
I think he's trying to do it over-under as Garrett Grant hits pit lane now.
not enough rear grip to do a big over-under, I don't think. Here's Matthew Bell and Bryce Senesac for 7th.
9 versus the 0-9. Drag race from Buffalo.
The other thing that doesn't help the over-under situation is you have to shift right in the middle of that over-under.
Yeah.
That kind of kills all the momentum that you built.
Matthew Bell, I'm genuinely surprised that truck is running as well
Yeah,
as it is.
he-
I thought he took a decent hit, but he's back in 7th place.
He did take decent hits, but just making it work. Eric Grant is out of pit lane. He just came in a couple of laps ago. Leaders continue to be just nose to tail as we hit 50 laps to go.
Brad Slaughter out there on the track. So he's running 30.5s at the moment. Before he came in,
Still about
31.9.
yeah, so that's almost a, what is that, a second and a half, 2 second pickup?
Second half, yeah.
About a 1.2 second pickup to Hearn and Scioli. But they have now stayed out long enough that when they pit, they will be behind the 8. The question is, does the overcut work? Right? We know the undercut will work. That's just math. The overcut, though,
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like with the IndyCar, you like lose that drivability. Like it's not as bad, but I feel like as far as being able to defend, I feel like you really lose all the ability of that.
I just think if I'm going to do something here, it would have been the undercut because we saw that tires aren't an enormous advantage. The biggest advantage they are going to be is when you have 50 lap fresher tires than the guy in front of you, or 77.
Here comes Brad Slaughter.
Yeah, so this is my point here, right? The 7 truck is on 78 lap old tires. This is the biggest difference that you could possibly have at this point in the race between tire strategies here. So the 8's going to drive right by him. When the 7 comes to pit lane, his advantage is only going to be 15, maybe 20 laps different.
It's not long. It's not a lot of race.
Right, so just think about the math of that for a second. It definitely benefits you at a track with not a huge advantage like we've seen to undercut versus overcut. So that's the mistake I think the leaders are making right now.
Especially with a lot of their competition slowly trickling down on pit lane.
Yeah, it's not a big rush. It's definitely trickle.
So looking at the lap, I think about 18 guys that are still yet to make their final pit stop. What should be their final pit stop?
Eric Wineland about to go a lap. Or Shane Abbey, rather. Eric Wineland.
Whoa!
A little bit of a bobble there for the 12. 56 truck is not on the lead lap. He is 1 lap down. Just come to pit lane.
That's the last thing Brad Salter needs, a caution now.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to have a yellow in the middle of this run. So this is amazing how quickly this race is flip-flopped from having 7 consecutive cautions to start the race now to a long green flag run. And that could have happened at any point.
Up, Scioli.
All right, onto pit lane. So remember, 1.2 seconds a lap difference or thereabouts. He was right on Hearn's heels, so in theory, he should pop out the other side. Now, if Hearn is smart here, I think he's going to hit pit lane immediately.
We'll see. I'm curious to see what he does here, because you think, I would say his best play would be come immediately on down. But maybe he thinks maybe he can try to stay out there.
Well, the only guy
stay out, gamble for a caution.
The only guy he is racing other than the 7 is the 8.
He's going to stay out.
So here's why this might not be a terrible call for the 67. The only truck he's racing is the 8 and the 7. Now, the 8 truck already made this situation hard. But the 7, their lap tire difference isn't going to be huge, and they were very close before. The 8 was not close to the leaders. So I don't think the overcut or the undercut is going to be better off for the 8 than it is for the 7, I think. They'll gain more. Strategy race. Here comes the 67 this time.
Ooh, cut some grass.
Watch out for the penalties. We know that they like to sting him late in the race. Working lap 82 of 125 here in the HelloFresh 125. Gordon Hurley takes over the lead. Everybody holds their breath now, just hoping to get through this cycle without a yellow flag.
Yeah, especially the guys that came in earlier, they're kind of betting that they can do something here. With all these guys coming in later on in the run, especially we definitely expect that Brad Slaughter is going to be leading this race once this whole cycle's out.
Yes, there's Brad, and now Cameron's just leaving. And their tire difference is going to be...
well, he might beat Scioli here, actually.
That's about 11 lap difference between the 67 and the 8. Now, Cameron Hearn has put some distance on Scioli by about a second. So here's what this means is now that Brad Slaughter Jr. has 2.6 seconds on Cameron Hearn.
Oh, did he take? No way. Did Cameron Hearn take 2 tires? He only spent 10.9 seconds in the box. There's no way.
I have 11.1.
There's no way he got 40.
Still quick.
No, he took. Oh yeah, just look at the replay. He only took right sides.
Okay, well, so because I don't think he values the tires a lot, which makes sense because we haven't seen them matter a lot. This is all just turning into strategy, and it feels like I'm explaining a chess match.
I mean, that's what it usually turns down into.
I mean, that's what I feel like I'm talking about. It's like the racing itself has kind of evolved into this strategy game. But I like where Brad Slaughter's at. He's getting run down by Cameron Hearn, but the difference, again, is not enormous. So when those tires equal, and Cameron's only got 2. Brad Slaughter's
I was just looking at that. I was like, there's no way that he should have beat Scioli out by that much. And I saw there was like a 4-second difference in the pit road time. So Brad Slaughter leading out there.
Will we get a yellow to the end of this thing? I don't think so. I think we're going to go green all the way to the end now.
I think you definitely have a highest chance of a yellow now with the guys on fresher tires catching the guys on older tires. There's a big speed difference, especially off the corners. So I think with that factor, I think there's a chance of a yellow. But once everyone pits, I want to say that decreases significantly.
Brad Slaughter Jr. is going to cycle to the lead. Although Cameron Hearn, well, they're both in heavy traffic right now, and Cameron made up a bunch of time the last couple of laps. And the track temperature is also falling. Yeah, that plays in. It's not going to wear out tires quite as quickly as we saw the first part of this run.
Well, Brad had to try something.
Yeah, he wasn't going to win. He was way gone. And the front two, the 67 and the 7, were completely in their own universe. I just thought this would work out a little bit better for him.
Yeah, I did too, but well, I think with that, I think had he not had a 3-second difference coming in, 3-second gap coming in, I think he would have been a little bit better off. But had to make up that gap, and now he's about to lose that now. As the 67 of Cameron Hearn closes in ever so slightly, and as he closes in, James Scioli in behind is closing in quickly to the 67. So all 3 of the leaders converging in.
Oh, big downshift and a big dive for Scioli with that aggressive corner entry we've seen him play. It's now 67's throttling up to the inside of the 8. Battle for what will cycle to be the lead is on here at the front.
Yeah, I actually got Danny Ware, who's holding the lead at the moment. There's Cameron Hearn, big dive from him. Even lower is the 7 of James Scioli. They might wreck with how big of a dive they're throwing into the entry.
Yeah, Slaughter didn't even defend that, which is a little weird, but Cameron drives on by. And look at the 7. Huge dive to the inside. Such aggressive moves. Hooks that apron and is going to leave the 8 truck in the dust. We get closer and closer to the tail end of this race.
Not quite in the dust. He had a bit of a run. He actually backed off of it, the number 80 truck. I think it was just because he realized that, they're on a separate strategy than him, that there really wasn't much point fighting. He was going to lose eventually, so now just kind of focused. Well, that didn't work out. I think he was hoping there would be a caution, keep those 2 in behind him. But now that's gone. Now he's just kind of maintain himself, keep that 3rd place.
35 laps to go when we get back to the stripe, and Scioli has run down the 67. I have a feeling that the 67 is going to regret making that call that he did.
Yeah.
I am surprised to see that the tire strategy is making as big of a difference now when it didn't seem to matter at all the first half of this.
Yeah, it is quite amazing to see. I am just quite surprised that Cameron Hearn did take 2 tires.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting call, and that might have very well cost in the race here as James Scioli has a big run to the inside, gonna hug the apron. Cameron Hearn up in the middle of the track, and it looks like he's actually gonna still maintain some momentum off the corner.
Yeah, the best thing Hearn can do here is make this as hard as possible for the 7 to clear him. Make him use up his 4 tires to hopefully equalize him to Hearn's 2, but with how short the 7 is making this lap by using that inside lane, it's just going to be inevitable. The 67, though, throttles up mid-corner. Battle for the lead again on the back straightaway.
It almost looked like Cameron Hearn was saving himself earlier for this particular moment. He's not letting that 7 on by.
Not easily. Scioli right down to the grass in 3 and 4. I love watching drivers use that line. Didn't work that time, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, he really compromised himself that time through. So Hearn's making him work for it. He's not going to yield this easily.
Good stuff here in HelloFresh 125 as we get closer and closer to the tail end of this race. The battle for the lead is on in the HelloFresh 125. Again, this race is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, eating well in the new year can be stress-free and delicious. With over 35 weekly recipes, they have the options you're looking for to help you achieve your goals. Use Calorie Smart and Carb Smart recipes, or even customize select meals by swapping proteins or sides, upgrading your proteins, or adding protein to a veggie dish. It is on right now and tasty for the lead as these two continue to battle Skyoli and Hearn.
I was going to say, the rate they're going, hopefully they don't end up tasting misery if this goes south, because with the way that the 7s dive even scores, all it takes is for Cameron Hearn to not give them enough room, and they can both end up around.
Well, I didn't order misery with my HelloFresh meals, but Skyoli and Hearn are going at it right now. Lap 95 of 125, about 15 minutes remaining in this race, and Hearn's defense is fantastic. Skyoli's going to try the high side.
Oh,
this might work.
Yeah, it would work. It would work if he was able to get there. Thing he wasn't really able to get there, and he is dirt tracking sideways off of turn 2, trying to keep that run going.
Yeah, trying something different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. He has elected to try something different. Now, just 30 laps to go. Now just following in his tire tracks.
And mostly following his tire tracks. He's still going to the inside, just not as aggressively. That being said, I think he pretty much has to go aggressively to the inside. And I think this works out. The more laps we take off, this works out in Cameron Hearn's favor, because Skyoli's tire is only getting worse, and especially with the way he's driving extremely aggressively, so he's burning up those tires very quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Hearn's doing this great defense, and all it's going to do is equalize the tires, where they're both kind of have the same stuff. Skyoli goes for that big dive again in turn 1, slides up, almost makes contact, and Hearn didn't leave him a lot of space either.
No, I was going to say, I mean, Hearn can't really afford to leave him a lot of space, otherwise he's going to get past. So it's a big game of chicken between these two. How much room can they take from each other in the middle of these corners?
Contact, spin,
oh!
The 5 in the wall in turn 1. We stay green.
That was perfect time to catch that.
Here, I saw the 0-0-0 on the timing screen. I knew it was going to get interesting. 46, 5 come together. Early stays straight, but have some right side damage to contend with. Well, where else we're looking pretty single file, so we'll jump back to, well, I say that. Here's Anna Sogak and Tommy Ryan. Justin is also just toughing this one out. That truck, yeah, looking very secondhand.
We always say sometimes with the bat, sometimes with the ball.
He has been
definitely with the ball
a lot tonight. They have been hitting some homers on him. Here's Cody Cartwright hitting down to pit lane. Unscheduled stop for the 25.
This actually was scheduled for him. He was out there for a very long time. He's one of the guys that came in the second run.
Scheduled stop. Larry Mack. Hit lap 100, Hearn and Skyoli still nose to tail, and I still don't think Skyoli's done looking for him.
No, I mean, he can't really afford to give up. He definitely has the pace, he just can't get around the 67 with Hearn.
Hearn's doing a fantastic job defending this. This race would have been over a while ago had he not been as aggressive. Look at this dive now by the 7. He's going to have to lean on him a little bit here. I just don't know that right now is the time.
No, I was going to say, the only way I think he's going to get by is if he gets to make some physical contact with 67. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, just enough to kill that run, kill the momentum from the 67. That being said, every time he does this kind of dive and he just can't clear, he's just burning up more of his stuff. So I don't even know if he's going to be able to have much time later on in the race as the 67 Hearn gets a little bit loose off too.
Yeah, that helps Skyoli not lose as much ground that time. 4. Hearn's also got some lap traffic to contend with, a lot of it actually. They will have to get there. 24 laps to go this time through. Fantastic race.
These two go at it. Meanwhile, Brad Slaughter Jr. is in no man's land. A little over 3 seconds back.
He's just hoping.
And then 5 seconds ahead of Jordan Martin.
I think Brad's just hoping, praying think they get aggressive and take each other out.
I don't think they really will unless something goes really wrong. They're not that aggressive. You know, they'll drive each other clean as hard as they can.
18 of Fambro and the 20 of Munsell, door to door. This is for 7th.
Solid climb for both these guys. Fambro up 10 spots, Munsell up 8.
I think that's Cody Carter, who just came down to pit lane running 25th in the 25 truck. And Fambro up the road just a little bit. Matthew Bell still inside the top 10 with that truck that has been through the ringer tonight, as have a number of them.
Doing really well. Actually has a chance of passing the 20 and the 18 back up to the battle for the lead. Still as close as ever.
You know what's interesting about the trucks is when these trucks are racing.
Oh, rack off of turn 4. Danny Ware around, caution out.
Big hit for the 0-0, and that changes a lot of things. Danny Ware, big impact out of turn 4 off the. Oh, wow.
That was.
Must have been
something.
some unfinished business there between those two. Huh.
Yeah, I don't. It was interesting.
Any comments?
I mean, I'm trying to see. He left the server.
All right, well, before everyone hits pit lane and takes tires and throws the whole strategy thing in the trash that we just talked about, I wanted to note something interesting about the trucks. You know that long bed they've got on the back as they are? It actually makes the gaps between them when they're nose to tail larger than the Cup cars. So, like, the Cup cars were like 0.08 apart when they were directly nose to tail. The trucks are like 0.15. Or 0.1, just because they're longer. They have a longer tail, basically. Similar wheelbase, but the quarter panel and beyond hangs out a lot more.
Right.
7, 8, and 67 in pit lane. This is going to be likely their final stop of the night. I don't think at this point you can afford to come into pit lane. I don't think anybody stayed out. I think all the front runners came to pit lane, and wow, all right, so Turn puts on 4. Scioli and Slaughter take 2 out of the turntables.
Interesting.
I thought everyone would take 4 and it would simplify that, but the track position was the play.
I guess so. I mean, they figured they only had to go 20 laps. They didn't go too terribly long the last stint either, so I guess they feel laps can deal with it enough. And I was actually looking back at that. I think that was Danny Ware getting back at Colin Fambro for wrecking him earlier in the race. So what I think that was, because that was very intentional.
Well, it is the HelloFresh 125. We have 20 laps remaining. You've got New Year's goals, and HelloFresh is here to help you achieve them. Skip the grocery store and take control of your time and budget with delicious recipes delivered right to your door. Use command HelloFresh in the Twitch chat for 21 free meals plus free shipping. That's command HelloFresh in the Twitch chat for 21 free meals plus free shipping on twitch.tv/area iRacing. Do that right now. You got to do it before the event is over. So if you're not watching on Twitch, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, twitch.tv/area iRacing HelloFresh. All right. Larry Mack, what you got? Who's your pick?
Let's see. I know we were talking about the tires probably not meaning much, but I like 4 tires. And Cameron Hearn definitely seems to have the pace, so I'm going to pick that 67.
67 truck is your pick. I'm going to pick. I got to go with number 7. I was going to go with the 8 or some wild card here. I just think Scioli. I love the aggression I've seen out of him, the moves he's been making on the racetrack. I like it. I think the 2-tire call I'm not super confident in. I also don't think that it matters all that much. So I think Scioli is just going to be throwing the truck around, and it has been sticking. It has been working for him. He's got track position over the 67, so for him to lose this race would require him to get passed by the 67. I just don't know that Cameron Hearn can do it. We'll see what we can do here. It's going to be a 17-lap run to the end.
Laps are winding down. Anticipation building. Potentially the temper is building as well.
Yeah, I was going to say also, this is probably not going to be our last yellow, I would venture to say. Had we not had the one we just had, I think we would have gone green to the end. I think now my opinion on this will shift back to get ready, folks. Here we go. HelloFresh 125, 17 laps to go. Scioli and Slaughter in command. Green flag back in the air. Clean restart out of turn 2. Martin on the attack here to get the 67 under his thumb. Can't do it. Cameron Hearn to the inside of Slaughter. Pretty critical pass here to make. Cameron's going to drive in hard into 3, but doesn't clear the 8. That's critical.
Yeah, manages to get it done. Actually, not quite. Slaughter is still there. Whoa, some Doring beating and banging off at turn 4. They sort it out in the middle of the field.
No, they're not done yet. The 99
Oh,
sideways
right.
in turn 1. And the 45 riding the fence. We keep it straight. We stay green.
Oh, man. These guys have had way too many near
Oh,
misses.
man. Wow. Still not done throwing trucks around back here just yet, I don't think.
I mean, why would you, right? Because everyone's got fresh tires. They're all built up. You got 18, 17 laps left in this race. They're all going to be going out of here.
Matthew Bell to the inside of Garrett Grant. 15 laps to go. Scioli leads Hearn by 0.4 of a second. Bell big time sideways. Munsell takes advantage.
Oh, Bell still sideways off of 2, saves it.
Oh, there they
checks
go.
out the field. There they go. 19, Swan and Harm to the wall, going to spin across the track. Another driver collected. Tommy Ryan involved.
Caution out. 15 laps to go. Tommy Ryan's truck destroyed. 19. Swan got a big piece of that as well. The HyperX Toyota Tundra torn up.
Something was going to happen on that last run because we just couldn't triangulate where that was actually going to occur.
Yeah, watch the 56 of Roderick here. Right there, slips, tags the 19 into the wall, and 99 just absolutely drills him. And then just to the bottom of your screen, watch the 21. Tags the 5.
Almost made it through.
And on board with the 99, this is going to hurt. Oh, man. That stop there. Tore up the 99 truck. He will not finish this one. Ryan Hart's, by the way, still on the track. Still 13 laps down. Passed 2 trucks. And can pass, I think, at 13 laps to go, he's 13 laps down. He can pass everyone that just DNF'd from that crash. So that would add, well, Danny Ware would be added to that. Tommy Ryan. Potentially Bobby Tinch if that truck is also torn up bits. David Weishart. So Hartz could pick up 3 or 4 more spots by toughing this one out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's cool that he's toughing it out, getting those points, but he really doesn't need the points. Well, because once you get the wins locked in, you're really pretty much only concerned about the wins with the way this playoff format works, right? Because you get those bonus points.
Yep.
So, I mean, nice that he's taking it out, though. I guess he didn't lose his place that much.
Well, the elbows are out. That is for sure. We're going to get a restart with approximately 11 to 10 laps to go. Well, let's remind you of our green-white checkered procedure in case we have a little bit of a green stint towards the end. If we get a yellow flag that will extend the race into overtime, then we will get one attempt at a green-white checkered, which means we'll re-rack him, restack him, and run over our scheduled distance. If the caution happens again on that first lap after the restart, the race will end under yellow. If we get to the white flag under any of those conditions, without the overextending caution or with it, the end. Scioli is commanding this one, and let's just quickly run down the laps led tonight. 48 for Scioli. That's a pretty big chunk, almost half of the ones we've run. Hearn, 46. Same deal there. Brad Slaughter Jr. has not led any. It's hard. I thought hadn't led. Oh, it's led.
Hearts, I guess, right?
Oh, Hearts. That's who I was. 13. And 13, it has been an unlucky night. He's 13 laps down. There was 13 to go when I just mentioned that. He has led 13 laps this race. It's not Friday, but in Hearts' land, it probably is. It's been a tough night for that 3.
Oh, there is a Friday the 13th, actually, next week, so.
Oh, gosh.
Almost perfect timing for that.
Hearts should stay inside on that day, lock the doors and windows.
It's actually also the 3rd of January as well, so I don't know if that really plays in a part, but I don't know.
Don't
add that to the list.
Don't buy a lottery ticket. Don't step outside. Don't start your car. Lock it in. The luck is not in your favor, Ryan. All right. There'll be a 10-lap run to the end. This is the HelloFresh 125. Kyle Heyer joined by Finney and Dakota tonight. We've got one more race from New Hampshire this week. It'll be Thursday night. That'll be the Area Launchbox Series. Next week, we're going to get into racing at a couple different tracks for the different series. We'll be at Pocono for Cup Series and the Launchbox Series, Michigan for the trucks. Then next week after that, the 16th, 17th, and 19th, Talladega. We're going restrictor plate racing there in a couple of weeks' time. Tonight, though, the Magic Mile. 10 laps left, 10 miles remain in the HelloFresh 125. Good launch by the 7, and we're back underway. 4 wide in the background as we head to turn 1.
That was a really good start. No, this is not going to work out.
Nope, well, there they go.
There goes Beckner around. Collects one of the 5 White Esports drivers. Not sure who that was.
That was the 5 of Jordan Hurley. Here's what that looked like. A lot of unstableness there. Go back under yellow again, and this means we'll get a restart with what, 6 laps to go, maybe 5?
Yeah, and Cameron Hearn not a happy man that caution came out, because that's less laps he has to chase down James Skyoley.
Yeah, this is again where that track position play comes in, and Skyoley's done this a couple of times this season to effect, where he knows that if there's a late race caution, you take the track position plate, get out front, you crush the restarts, they all crash behind you, restart after restart after restart, they run the laps out for you, then you just have to survive, and you win the race. He's done that a few times in a few different series. It's worked out almost every time.
Drive to survive.
All of that. We got some more time. Let's run down the HelloFresh a little bit more. Hey, by the way, use that code. So, real talk for a second. I've been looking into this is off the topic here. Or I guess on topic, off the script. I've actually been looking at HelloFresh for a little while. This is a great deal. They'll save you a whole bunch of money. So HelloFresh.com, there's the code on the screen where you can type !HelloFresh in the Twitch chat. Give yourself the best opportunity. Go through there, make yourself an account. It saves you a whole bunch of money. I am actively going through the process right now. I would show you, but it has my address on the screen. I'll do that. But,
yeah, and he was doing this like 5 minutes before we went live.
Hey, I was curious.
Want to add that as well.
And I want to help out, so. And I live alone, and sometimes I eat like a high schooler. They're like, chips, 8 a.m.?
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because there was a physician assistant that worked at my office, literally brought Lunchables to eat. And my mom was like, my mom who also worked at the office, she was like, why do you eat like a child?
Yeah, my coworker definitely is trying to sell me on HelloFresh thing. I think tonight's the night I bite the bullet here.
Well, you let me know how it is, and I'll consider.
You're not going to
signing up for it. Well, I mean, if I move out.
Hey, move in with me. Come to Chicago.
That's you make it sound a lot easier than it is.
Look,
to completely move.
You're an EMT. They have those here. You know? And
I would hope they have EMTs there.
I haven't checked, personally. You can live happily ever after.
Be reunited. Actually, no, now you say that, we haven't done a stream together
in person since college, which was
almost 3 years.
3
Jesus
years
Christ,
ago.
Wow.
I haven't even seen you in person since then.
Actually, yeah, damn.
Oh,
huh.
Disappointing.
It's been that long, huh?
You even teased me. You're like, I'm going to go to college in Chicago. I'm like, yes, please. I would love the situation I had with Tom when I lived with Tom for a year.
Yeah.
Because we had a 3-bedroom apartment. One of those bedrooms was solely a stream sim studio. what a perfect life that was, but until Tom didn't want to do any of the streaming, so did
Yeah, the thing about going to school in Chicago, I can assure you that ship has sailed. That's probably
well, you
not
can
gonna
still
happen.
live here and not go to school.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not out the window though.
I mean, it's a long way away from family. That's
It's all right.
unless you don't mind flying a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't probably fly that much. It's expensive. After a while.
Well, I mean, driving. I mean, it cost me $100 in gas to get back to Rochester. You have to throw another $50 in it. Get to.
Yeah.
That's $150. Get a cheap flight. So what's not cheap entertainment is this, the Area Truck Series from New Hampshire. The Magic Mile, 5 laps to go here. 3 minutes left in this race. If we get a caution, we're going to go into overtime. Green flag back in the air. Scioli again clears Hearn, and it's a mad race down to turn 1 again. 3 wide of the backdrop.
I was going to say 3 wide again. Everyone's going at it. Everyone's trying to gain as many positions as possible before this race is over. It's going to be absolutely chaotic for the next 5 laps. They come rocketing out of turn 2.
Cameron Hearn has to know his opportunities are slim here. He's going to have to be aggressive with it. Big slide up the hill by the 7. Everyone's stacked up double wide. It's like they're pacing at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of amazing to see them 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down the orders. They look back up at the lead. What is Cameron Hearn going to do? Is he going to be aggressive? We know he's typically not that aggressive, but actually both of them were leaving tire tracks at turn 1 understeering.
You know what they say about aggressive?
Ooh, aggressive goes around. Actually,
boy.
Hearn
Oh, there they
goes
go.
around, trying to get around Scioli, wrecking down the back straightaway. Just as Hearn makes a dive to the inside, he gets denied. Caution out again.
Man, he is going to be livid on the radio. Here's a look. Simrat Market replay. Oh, the 18 tags those tire bundles there right at the end. Watch this.
If you want to also, let's come, we'll take another look at this replays. 45 can catch the 18 just at the end, and then bam into the tires. If you want to also take a look at the leaders as it are coming into turn 3, how close it was for Cameron Hearn taking the lead of this race. Gets a great run off of turn 2, gets to his inside quarter panel, throws it deep into 3, and you see, and there's the caution.
Oh, man, that. Did he say anything after that?
He said, unbelievable. Someone give me a expletive Snickers.
That's perfect. And we are in overtime, so that means that we are going now past our extended distance. This HelloFresh 125 is now the HelloFresh 126. It will probably be the HelloFresh 128 by the time, maybe with 129 by the time we're done pacing. And what that means is when we restart, we're going to get one opportunity. If the race gets to the white flag without a crash, we will finish the race no matter what, under green. If the caution comes out, or we get to the white flag, race is over. Want to take a bet? Want to put $10 down on it?
I'd rather not. I have honestly no clue at this point.
Yeah, I don't either.
I would place, if I'm not necessarily a betting man, if I were, I would say there's a better chance that we're probably going to get that caution on the first lap.
Yep.
Just how hectic it's been, which means if Hearn is going to get anything done, he needs to get it done within the first few turns, which is hard to do because you need that first lap effectively to get up to speed, get yourself in position to make an attack on the second lap. So Hearn's in between a rock and a hard place.
It takes him a lap to build that momentum. So it's going to have to happen on the last lap, unless he gets a phenomenal restart.
Or unless caution comes out.
If the caution comes out, Cameron Hearn does not win this race. He needs this race to go green. Which is why he was so frustrated, because he might have had that.
Yeah. It was arguably a lap, one lap too late, one turn too late.
Yeah, I mean, if he got the lead right there, right then, if he had been 3 feet further up the road, probably would win this race. That's how powerful being the leader on the restart is with this restart zone system. For those that aren't aware, iRacing has rewritten their restart code. It used to be that when the pace car pulled off, the leader could go at any point. As soon as that pace car took that left, and the driver on the outside had to follow the leader to the line. Now there is a restart zone, and it is pretty well painted, actually. If we have a look here at the exit of turn number 4, you can see that blue Geico restart zone. When the leader gets in that zone, they can begin accelerating at any point, and now not so much if that outside driver beats them to the line, they just cannot begin accelerating before the race leader. So it's a little bit harder, actually, because before you could start before the other driver, you just couldn't beat him to the line. Now you can't do either.
Yeah. And we saw a penalty given last night to Jake Nichols in the race last night. Got penalized for jumping the start over the leader and had to serve a penalty.
Almost ruined his race. He ended up fighting back and finishing.
I mean, he still technically ruined his race considering where he normally finishes.
Right. But could have been worse. Field rolls through turns 3 and 4. We're going to get one shot at this. If you see the yellow fly, the race is over. If we get to the white flag, we will race to the end. Green flag back in the air. Scioli way down the road. Hearn down there trying to protect. And we thunder towards turn 1 of the Area Truck Series.
Yeah, it actually almost got turned by the 11. Jordan Martin was giving him a shove. Hearn's going to clear Brad Slaughter in the middle of 1 and 2 now. I can set his sights on the 7 of Scioli.
4 wide in the backdrop. Are they going to get down the back straightaway without running into each other? No, they won't. They crash sideways and crashing down the back straight pile up. And Scioli is going to win this race. It's like
should have made that bet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the yellow and the white flag in combination. Race will end under yellow flag. Let's quickly go back. Look at the situation. And this just wasn't going to work. 4 cars wide. And did someone alt F4 in the middle of that?
I don't know.
Look on the outside. Back there? Oh, no. He just cleared him. Holy cow. That 19 took a ride, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he just... Yeah, as soon as he said 4 wide, I knew something was going to go wrong.
Beckner kind of bounced off the wall and...
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
A little pirouette there. And it's like he's towing a camper or something. That back squatting quite a bit, but that race will end, and checkered flag is out. And James Scioli will pick up a win here in New Hampshire, and Cameron Hearn has got to be hot under the collar. I can't wait for this interview.
I was going to say, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. I also... I thought they were calling him to the hauler for a second. I mean,
they might after this interview. That's why I'm excited for it.
Oh, man, I could feel his disappointment. He had opportunities. He was trying to use them, and then every time he was so close, a caution came out to ruin his night.
That's tough. He might have had it. That previous caution, the one that triggered the green-white checkered, he was in position for it. Could have used up the 7, could have come out side by side and raced him into 1, but he never got the shot. James Scioli, though, what a great night for him, and he led a whole bunch of laps. He didn't luck into this one, despite him having to fight off 67. Scioli this year already has a win. It came back at Sonoma, the road race. He had 3 top 5 finishes in the last 3 races, and tonight we'll get back on the top of the podium and win for the first time since October. Let's have a look at our race results. Scioli, whoops. Where did the...
No, there was a issue where Brad Slaughter and Cameron Hearn got a black flag for passing the pace car. That's a glitch.
All right, so no worries. So this is going to be completely wrong. So this reference these for general positions. The 67, though, was up in 2nd place. Where was the 8th?
I believe in 3rd. Should have been right behind him.
All right, so shift all these spots down, too, but we'll quickly roll through the order here. But Cameron Hearn is waiting.
Oh, sorry, I lied about that.
767.
Jordan Martin finished in 3rd. Brad Slaughter in 4th.
All right. Well, we have 2 of our top 3 already waiting. We're going to talk to Cameron Hearn first. Comes up short in this one. Cameron, I can feel the frustration after putting yourself in position on that penultimate caution. You were there. You had the position on the 7, couldn't complete the pass. What are you feeling after that one? It can't be good feelings, despite the second place run.
Yeah, I'm so close to the cutoff line in the points. So I really wanted to win, and I'm good at tracks like this. And me and James had a great battle. I mean, the whole race, I felt like. I'm glad if I didn't win, he won. But just tough. It's one of those seasons I feel like I've had everything that could go wrong, or go exactly not when it needs to happen. But last year, things were the opposite. It's kind of like that sometimes. But really, main goal now is we got Talladega coming up. Is trying to make it into the playoffs and then go from there. But yeah, this one was tough. I thought I had it going into the corner. Just need another corner maybe to clear them. But this hard race, and I think the guys were 4 and 5 wide.
Well, next week we head to Michigan and then Talladega. Kind of wild cards in the truck world. I mean, Michigan feels as big as Talladega in some instances. Yeah, I mean, so your thoughts on those next 2 races? You seem to really excel at some of these kind of intermediate short track kind of combination tracks. How do you feel about your chances at those 2 next week?
Staying out of trouble is going to be key. I think all season, I've been up front, maybe put myself in a bad situation, maybe racing guys too hard that I should be racing too hard. But if I'm not out front leading the race, I'll probably, if some guy catches me, has a run, I'll probably try to give him enough space to let him continue and just try to finish the race. What I'm shooting for is top 5 and top 10s. I can't have top 5s and be followed by a 31st place finish, which seems to happen a lot this season. But just looking forward to it. I think we have a fast truck, but a lot of people will. It's all about positioning.
Well, hunting for top 5s, a top 2 tonight. Cameron, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Moving on out, a 3rd place finisher, Jordan Martin, got it done, finished in 3rd in that number 11. It was a fight tonight, Jordan. All the evening, there was lots of yellows and bumping and banging and door grinding and words being thrown around. I think you got away with pretty minimal incidents this evening, not getting involved in and much. So take us through your evening. It was obviously a good result for you.
Well, I was hoping I qualified just a little bit better, but had to kind of drive through the field. It was very tight. Wasn't that tight in practice or whatnot, in all the practices we did, but I started moving up through the field, and then I accidentally got into David because I was following the line I did in 3 and 4 and what Skyler's doing. I went down in turn 1 and there was a bunch of bumps down there, and I didn't expect it to get that tight. Ended up dooring, and I didn't mean to do that, but ended up having to pit because I stayed out for so long. I was hoping it went green for a little bit longer because I was coming up through the field. I think I got up to about 4th until the caution came out. I was just hoping to just get a little bit farther up through the field.
Well, it's still a good night for you, though. 3rd place is not a bad one. Good points tonight, especially, Jordan. Congratulations. Michigan next week. How do you feel about your shots there?
Oh, that's one of my favorite tracks in these, or one of these favorite tracks in the truck.
Favorite
last
tracks?
season, last season I did pretty good. Yeah, just very nervous about that finish. I was hoping for a little bit better, but
got through it, got a top 5, Jordan. Congratulations. We'll see you next week in Michigan.
Yep.
James Scioli gets his 2nd win on the season. It was back at Sonoma where he got his first. This time gets his 2nd win over the 67 of Cameron Hearn, who was disappointed he didn't get to finish that launch he had on you when that yellow happened in the background. But the strategy you've been playing this season is get that track position on those late race yellows for exactly this reason, James. You played it to a T. Thoughts on this race after winning your 2nd of the season?
Yeah, these races just kind of turn crazy at the end, so if I can find myself up at the front and we're just going to keep getting yellows, then it's going to work out pretty good. Worked out yesterday almost to perfection. David and I had a good race going there, and sadly we weren't able to finish that one, and we had a good race going here, 200 green. Cameron and I were gone from the field, and I felt like if I could get around him, I could kind of pull away. I had the apron working better than anybody else. I don't know why I was able to run it so good, but I was just able to hit the apron and then get to that first seam and get a pretty good drive off. So definitely felt like I was the car to beat on the long run, and then just kind of played a strategy for some track position and tried to survive the short runs there at the end.
What's going to launch you into favor in terms of the playoff picture? Of course, David Weishart's got a couple victories also. I think he's got 3 to your now 2, but you're tied now with Travis Beckner heading into Michigan and Talladega. Can you rack up a couple more before the playoffs start?
Hopefully. Not really a big Michigan fan, and that'll kind of be a pack race, I think, with these trucks. And then Talladega obviously will be a pack race as well. So just going to have to get lucky at those two, I think. I don't really think that it's going to be somewhere where you can just pull away and get an easy win. So maybe we can luck ourselves into one or two more. But for missing 2 races this season so far, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
All right, James Scioli wins his 2nd race in the Area Truck Series season. Congratulations, James. We'll see you at Michigan.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And just big thanks to you guys in the booth and the broadcast. Obviously, they're looking amazing this season, so big ups to that. The admins for sticking around. We've had some issues, but they've worked through them all pretty good, so big thanks to them. And then Butt Kicker, Dandle Scandals, Matt Tools, Chris Sports Cards, and Sci-Fi Racing and David Weishart Racing. We both teams had a good race today, so hopefully we can carry that momentum forward.
All right, Sco. Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week in Michigan.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, Finn, final thoughts here on New Hampshire, the Magic Mile. It has not been magic for a lot of people, but Scioli led the most laps, won the race. Not much more to say about that. Interesting hands-on by a lot of drivers tonight. Elbows out, pushing and shoving. Got a little bit more incidents than I think I was expecting for the night, but we still got the Lodgebox Series to contend with on Thursday.
Yeah, curious to see how the Lodgebox Series is going to race, because with the last two races we've seen, very chaotic has been the best way to put it. Very chaotic, a lot of action. I think the race is going to be pretty good. I mean, both races put on some fantastic runs towards the end, with 2 guys completely going at it and coming down to the wire. So I'm sure Thursday will be just as entertaining.
Area Lodgebox Series is on Thursday. That's what's coming up for you here on Sim TV. We got more racing for you next week from the Area Series. Kyle Heyer alongside Finney DeCuna. Thanks again to HelloFresh. This has been the HelloFresh 125 from New Hampshire. Before we sign off, use !HelloFresh. You get yourself 21 free meals and free shipping. Big thanks again to HelloFresh. We'll see you on Thursday for the Area Lodgebox Series.